it's quite unlike anywhere else, and I've supported football all my life.
Ultra stands for so much in football when it comes to violence and aggression, and non-progressive people would say is passion, I would say is division and divisiveness. The Whitehawk Ultras inverted that.
Any form of sports, just like arts, inherently is political.
The politics were kind of clear, that socialist, left-leaning, what you see on the stairs, those are the beliefs of the fans that get behind the goal and stand behind the goal.
It's very fan-driven. Fans who call themselves the Ultras stand for.
You know, I don't have to choose between being a political activist or a football fan. I can be both.
Come and see it, come down, come and visit us, you know, wherever you are, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Palestine, just jump on a plane and come and see us, because you'll be more than welcome.
Greetings from the coastal city of Brighton, south of London. This is the second and most important half of Whitehawk and Howard Heath Town game. Last home game for the Hawks among their ultras. This half may decide their fate, either staying up in the Isthmian League or getting relegated to the County League.
I'm not over-exaggerating when I'm telling you now, this is massive, yeah? Do not leave. All right, I'm off then. See you later. Bye. See you when I get back. Bye. For the home games, I usually leave at about 9 o'clock to go, because I go and see my mum and my sister who are in Brighton. So I meet them before I go to the game.
It's the life of a non-league footballer. Work all week, 5 days a week for most of them, and then travel down for 2 hours training on a Tuesday and Thursday, and then play football on a Saturday. Although they do get paid a little bit of money for doing what they love. So. There was a campsite, but it's now quite a big caravan park. And this is the entrance to the salubrious, very salubrious entrance to the ground. That's the food bank food, which I've already bought, because we're collecting for Whitehawk Food Bank today. We like the food bank. I mean, it's a very good cause, local. We've got good links with them. A lot of people in Whitehawk rely on it. And our fans are very, very good in terms of what they bring. There are a variety of things going on during the day that Kevin is normally the person who organises all that.
Within Whitehawk, there's an area called the Whitehawk Estate. It's in East Brighton, and over the years, 20 years ago or so, it was quite a deprived area. And there's a lot of low-income families in that particular area. And there's lots of initiatives within the community to make people's lives a little bit better. Through one of the churches, St Cuthman's, they've set up a Whitehawk food bank. The local community helps to make that make it a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, my name's Simon, also AKA Odds and Evens. That's me, I'm 50, how old am I? 57, born in 1964.
There are other Premier League owners that we can ask questions of, and football's moral high ground is somewhere.
Grew up in Whitehawk, which is why I support this team. Although I live in London, I support this team. So yeah, when I grew up, growing up on the estate, you'd sort of drift over to the enclosed ground and watch the players. The games were always good.
Some have said that, but the protests have never been loud.
And I played for the youth team back then. Started off with a different team, but we merged with Whitehawk Football Club for under 16.
Point will keep us going, and then we would have to go to our last game of the season and lose by 9 goals to get relegated.
Let me borrow it. How'd you do it?
I want to be a Whitehawk culture! I want to be a Whitehawk culture! I want to be blessed with taste and culture! I want to be blessed with taste and culture! I want to be a Whitehawk culture! I want to be a Whitehawk culture! Never ever go back to Bogner!
It wasn't always relegation. It wasn't always just struggling to stay in league. When it was formed in 1945 as Whitehawk and Manor Farm Old Boys, there was a period of success, in particular through the 60s and the 80s under Sammy Donnelly. There were cup wins. There were just one of the biggest teams in Sussex.
The oldest living photograph of anything connected with Whitehawk is this picture of the night. This is a 1945 team photo. We know who most of the players are. History of the club, load of local people, young lads wanted to carry on playing football. When they'd finished playing youth football, they wanted to play adult football. 1945, so they formed a club called Whitehawk and Manor Farm Old Boys. So Whitehawk is here, Manor Farm is that estate, which is on the other side of that hill behind my head, on the other side of the valley. And they had a period of incredible success. So the decades of the 40s, they started in the 40s, they won virtually every league they entered in the 40s and every cup they entered. And they progressed and got promoted. First major trophy they won was 1951. They won the Sussex County Cup. And then they got into the Sussex County League. So they came from playing parks football on open pitches to actually getting into the County League and being one of the top teams in the county in under 10 years. They changed their name to Whitehawk in 1958. They then had a relative period of success. They didn't keep carrying on getting promoted. They were a top county league side throughout the 50s and 60s. They won the county league again at the start of the 60s. They did the treble in 1962, and they won the county league again in 1964. In the 80s, they became quite successful again. They became better known. They started getting on cut runs. The team got better and better. and they were still in the county league, and they were just a good county league side. They'd had a couple of relegations during their time. They'd gone back into County League 2 once, came straight back up again. The biggest things that they did in the history really was developing a ground, because they were just playing on a pitch which was enclosed by a load of hedges. That's why it's called the enclosed ground. So they'd had no changing facilities or anything like that. So they were very proud of the fact they got dressing rooms, they got a clubhouse, and they were quite happy being a club in County League. And somebody we must definitely mention in terms of the history of the club is John Rosenblatt, who's now 81, I think, I'm right in saying. He's on this photograph, back right way in flares. This is 1971. This is 1971, 70-71, this picture, and that's John Rosenblatt's first season as secretary. There he is as a young man, and here he is 10 years later on this picture here. I mean, I think I'm right in saying that every single one of those people on that front row, other than John and Derek, who looks old here, and he's still alive. Derek does the boardroom on match days, and John is still the club secretary.
When I was at school, I used to watch a play down, when I used to play down the bottom of the park with a tarpaulin around it. So that's, ooh, a long, long time ago. That was just after they started in 1945. So I used to watch them then, just after the war. Growing up in Whitehawk, really, really good. It was, the old Whitehawk used to be a council estate, was really, really hard-working people, and they would all help each other.
And what that did was created a fantastic atmosphere and relationship between the community and the club. That's the photograph of them building the clubhouse.
People say that Whitehawk had a bad reputation, which it did, but why, I do not know, because there's other parts of the town which were most extreme for a start. They were much more criminal offences carried on there than Whitehawk. And they're just ordinary people, and I think it got a bad reputation, forcibly, put it that way.
But I think that's galvanised the community, and we wanted Whitehawk Football Club to be at the forefront and at the centre of everything that the community was proud of.
Growing up on the estate, I think you had to be mentally tough, and I think you had to look after yourself. It just felt like you had to. For me, that I had to create a character to be to sort of fit in, survive, if you like. My mum worked hard she had sort of cleaning jobs, and she worked with her aunties in the old people's home in Craven Vale, and my dad was just a bit of a chap, really. He was a bit of a wild one when he was younger. He was very young when he had me and my sister. So in the 60s, he was bumming around town with the mods and always had to look very sharp and prided himself on his appearance. As I said before, he's very amusing.
Simon kills the song. They said that there were rats crawling round their legs, but what they did a bit
dad brought a youth team over here at under 15, did really well, under 16. Then I stopped playing at sort of under 16, 17. I had decided to go to pubs and do my own thing at the weekends and bomb around with my mates, which didn't really involve playing football.
We say no! Boris Johnson! We say no! Boris Johnson! We say no!
There's a big debate, there's politics. Is politics and football, should they really mix? Well, they do.
It's not really about politics. It's just about a belief, you know. I think people just want to do the right thing and all kind of live together and be part of everything together. And football is a sport where, you know, it's a great leveller.
I'm from London originally. I moved down to Brighton about 17 years ago. And several people said to me, if you like football, you should go to Whitehawk. And because of the reputation, I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't actually come down, and I didn't know what non-league football was all about. I thought it might be somewhere where the hooligans like... It's really not like that.
The Ultras started with 3 guys in the back of the stand, you know, singing mad songs, and just was attracted and got attracted by other people, and you know, they became, you know, the Ultras, which was again an ironic title.
The founders of the Ultras, Rory, then I think Gilman and Foot came along. So Mick Foot is a character that comes along, or used to. He doesn't come anymore. He moved out of town. Mick Foot used to bring a siren at the FA Cup game. He had a big air raid siren, so there'd be loads of noise. He'd bring a bugle, so he'd blow his bugle.
Ideas aren't for sale. And actually, in the end, it's the kindness and it's the goodness and it's the charity and it's the hard work and the care and the love and the support for the game that will actually win over in the end. It really will. It has to. People with money, they've ruined the game. They've ruined football. Clap, and off we go, yeah? My name's Mick Foot. I'm currently a trade union organiser and I am a passionate Whitehawk fan, though I can't be there anymore because I've moved away. I happen to go to a little town that's close to Brighton and there was a game being played between that town and Whitehawk. And one of my friends said, "Why don't you come and watch the game?" And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, whoever wins this game, I will follow." I'd sort of given up on league football by this point because it's become so commercialised and so rigid, and it's full of aggressive people, and I wanted no part of it. And then I went to the game, and it was a thrilling game between Lewis and Whitehawk, and Whitehawk won 3-2. And from that moment on, I was absolutely hooked on Whitehawk, and I could not give up on it. I went to every single game for season after season, home and away. Now, when I went along, there was a group of 5 or 6 friends, sort of watched St. Pauli in Germany and Borussia Berlin, I think as well, but they loved their anti-fascist stance. And so they jokingly, as a group of friends, thought that that would be the way to go ahead with creating a game, a name for a group of fans.
We are Whitehawk. We are Whitehawk. Super Whitehawk. From Whitehawk. Oh, yeah.
And it was a joke because there were so few of us, but it was a joke that could work, but we didn't have the identity, and so we started to just build an identity. We took pictures of hawks, we took things, we just shaped it. And suddenly, it was the fact that Ultra stands for so much in football when it comes to violence and aggression and what non-progressive people would say is passion, I would say is division and divisiveness. The Whitehawk Ultras inverted that they inverted ultra thinking. You can be an ultra, you can be that passionate, but you don't have to be full and riddled with hatred. You can be just as passionate as any other ultra, to show people that, you know, it's a great game, and it can be a wonderful experience, and it can be a moving experience.
This is what's called the Din, and this is where the Ultras, this is their home. They've put a disco ball up here because it's a party. They want to just enjoy the party, and then they just collect stickers from around the world. Actually, a lot of English clubs, a lot of European clubs, all sharing a similar kind of belief, and all you know, sort of enjoying football for its community more than just the football itself.
There's something quite infectious about the fans, isn't there, and the spirit of the club. It's quite unlike anywhere else, and I've supported football all my life.
The politics were kind of clear, that socialist, left-leaning socialist politics of what you see on the stairs, those are the beliefs of the fans that get behind the goal and stand behind the goal.
It's tricky if you bring politics into a sport, and football, but football's got a fantastic platform and a large voice, and I think that we here, we are political in the sense that we like to sing about people's freedoms. Refugees are welcome here, for instance, like that. The referees are Tory. It's not always, not everyone is necessarily on the same song sheet, but it's quite socialist and quite forward-thinking here. And we have done lots of, I suppose, political things, haven't we?
And that just silenced the fascists. It silenced the bigots. It stopped it in its tracks, and it made passion, and that's what Whitehawk's actually all about, and what the Whitehawk Ultras are all about is about passion, and always being passionate and enjoying it and caring and being a family and appreciating that everybody, male, female, black, white, refugee, it doesn't really matter. As long as you love football, it's the home for you, it's the passion for the game that matters. Beyond that, you can show care and love, and that's far more powerful than divisive politics and tribalism, which is what football has been for so long and which has made it stink like a dead fish. That's what Whitehawk's about, and that's why I love it.
I feel like any form of sports, just like arts, inherently is political because it is group-based. It is talking to just not individuals, but a group of people. It is bringing people together. That's why it is a great platform to also not only, kind of sharing the art or sports, but also share the messages. And it is fascinating for me to see that Whitehawk is achieving that.
This is what we do. Yeah, it's a Whitehawk life. When we're winning, we sing. When we're losing, we sing. That's what we do.
That was quite unique because I'm originally from Turkey, and some football teams, I mean, even the most major ones, don't really have a political stance, if you like. But Whitehawk was different in that regard, and it really fascinated me.
There's no doubt about it that those values have been driven by the supporters. It's very fan-driven, that what the fans who call themselves the Ultras stand for. The inclusivity, the football is for all. It's definitely fan-driven. There are initiatives, though, that the club has increasingly got involved with that promote those values as well. But it did start with the fans. And if football's for all, people often ask me, well, does that mean that we also include people who are who've got values that are diametrically opposed to ours? Well, yes, we'd like to, and we'd like to include them, and we'd like them to come along. But at the end of the day, there are rules and laws around what you can and cannot say at football matches, and how you should behave. For some people, that's just political correctness gone mad, and it's. But those people are in an increasing minority. But if I go to the Amex to watch Brighton Hove Albion, I hear things which I don't want to hear. If I go to the Etihad or I go away to watch Manchester City, I hear things that I don't want to hear at games like that as well. So those I think, they're always going to reflect society in general. I think it's a question of where the balance is, and also it's a question of promotion and continually reminding people about the values that we've got and putting them right out there at the front, and not assuming that those things are just going to happen unless they're actually worked on by the club. So started with the fans, developed, it's still a fan-led thing, but the club has also embraced it and introduced a number of initiatives which have backed up what the fans have been asking for.
I don't think we're all political activists, although, I certainly, have written lots of political songs in the past, and to a certain extent that's the way that I am. But I'm a football fan as well. I can be both. I don't have to choose between being a political activist or a football fan. I can be both.
Oh, we say no, sexism, we say no.
The slogan "anti-idiots" is not so much used these days. I think it's on their Twitter feed. I don't think anyone uses it or has it on a T-shirt or anything like that anymore.
I don't think football fans are idiotic. I think some people get carried away at the moment. And I think we've had people turn up at Whitehawk who would probably go along with those sort of things in the past. But they suddenly find that they're in a culture that's very, very different to that. And so they go along with the thinking that's there. There are people in football who are very vicious and very, very nasty, who will create those sort of environments and spread it. I don't welcome that sort of behaviour.
We are the greatest football supporters in the Northern Pyramid.
If we go down, we'll dust ourselves off and we'll be back again.
And we'll write a song about it.
Yep. Yep. Whitehawk the opera. Yeah.
Yeah, for the new, we have a song for the new manager, yeah. How's it go?
Sean Saunders new.
Rat-a-tack-a-tack. Les enfants.
I think the young ultras will love that.
Each time we hear.
We don't support the club for its success. We support it because everyone holds Whitehawk in their heart for different reasons. For example, Mark, who works with bringing the refugee people in, because they love football. That's why Mark and those people feel that Whitehawk is right for them. Those that run the food bank run Whitehawk. They see Whitehawk for that. Others see it because they see it as a way of spreading a message of tolerance rather than of fascistic division. So it's many things to many people. Now, but by and large, all of those supporters would agree with what every other supporter would be doing. So if your passion was the food bank, you would still be saying, yes, I fully support people coming in because they're refugees and they want to enjoy football as well. And I fully support an anti-fascist stance as well. And I fully support the fact that I've come here for a party. They would all work together in that respect, and that's what binds them, is these different strands, which you could ultimately call ultra.
I think that the club sort of raised the profile of Whitehawk as being a good place, of being a place where people can come and have a good time and where everyone can mix together and have a common cause. I think you need to have a common cause, and I think that the club, with its sense of fun and creativity and for want of a word, football for all, that everyone's welcome here, and I think that's helping to, well, hopefully helping to raise the profile of Whitehawk as a good place, and a place where, you know, where, as I've said before, where it is needed, you know.
Maybe the beauty of it is because it is very local. It doesn't have much money, and that's why it has the power to be free as much as it can be.
New investors came in 2007, 2008, that there was investment and this club could be doing better than just playing county league. And then there was this period of successive promotions that took the club for the first time in 2013-14 into National League South, which is only two leagues below the Football League. So quite remarkable, really. Still on quite low gates, but the club then suddenly became much better known, and in 2015 we played Dagenham and Redbridge in the second round of the FA Cup, and if we'd won that game we'd have played Everton away in the third round of the FA Cup, and that's what most people remember because we had over 2,000 people in the ground for the replay. And we lost that replay in extra time.
The guys at the time wanted to change the way that the club was seen, you know, around the city, like we've already mentioned. And I think outside of Brighton and East Sussex, Whitehawk is seen as a progressive, you know, dynamic, inclusive non-league football club now. And it was kind of then, you know, it was just another, you know, East Sussex club, but within the city and the surrounding areas. It was Whitehawk, and it was kind of this like kind of ugly. It was done sort of almost ugly, you know, like Whitehawk, and it was that kind of thing. And I think that the management at the time thought, well, if we changed their name to Brighton City, we would have a new image, new attitude, new environment, new opportunities.
Whitehawk Estate is a place of poor people and people who've not had the opportunities in life that other people have been given, and that's not fair. You know, what the club did in its small way was say, look, we know we can organise. we've got people that can come in now who want to come and help, and they want to do it, but at the same time, by giving positivity out to their local population, inviting them to come and watch the games, trying to get our players to go into the local schools to help, you know, to show football skills to kids, to run the food bank, to give money at Christmas to homeless people and to raise things. Just to be there as part of the community and as a beacon for the community gives people a point of hope, which is why when the commercialised side of the club wanted to change the name, I felt, as did many, many others, that you're robbing people of something that is part of their identity. There's not a lot to be proud of in a poor place.
I've discussed it subsequently a little bit with the investors. I think it was born out of frustration with the low attendances. I think the fact that hardly anybody was going, even when they were successful, was curious.
My name's John Summers. I'm a principal investor in Whitehawk Football Club and a local businessman. My father had a business in Whitehawk, and he used to sponsor the club and advertise in the local Whitehawk press. So I picked up one of his old advertisements the other day in an old programme of Whitehawk, and it brought back some incredible memories of Dad's business back in the day. So it's lovely to have that connection. We got involved in 2007. Back in 2009. Where we were struggling with attendances. Whitehawk got quite a lot of bad press as a place, portrayed on the media and BBC and, as a deprived area, one of the top 10 deprived areas in the country. We were struggling to get people in the door, and there was a lot of positive changes that have been made at the club, improvements to the facilities, etc., better playing staff, and we still struggled. So it was agreed by the committee at the time that perhaps we ought to add Brighton to the name one way or another to raise the awareness and raise the profile of the club. It was quite a positive commercial move in conjunction with the improvements we were making at the club and improving performances and going up in the league. We wanted to add Brighton to the name, and the vote at the time, the committee vote, was, I believe, Brighton City. When I became chairman in 2015, I was asked to put that forward to the FA, which we did approach the FA.
It backfired massively because, as it would have done with a lot of other clubs, because you're taking away someone's legacy, you're taking away their name, you're taking away everything that stands for. And despite the fact that perhaps some places outside of Whitehawk might look down upon Whitehawk and see that it's a deprived area, the people in Whitehawk were quite proud of what they had, and they're proud people. So why would you want to change their name? It's almost like an insult to them that you want to change their name to Brighton City, because even the club doesn't like Whitehawk, the area.
Suddenly, a group of progressive people have created a vibrant football club for them that's getting noticed and getting reports in newspapers and something positive coming out of a poor place. And you're going to change the name? You're going to adapt it because it suits your commercially driven ideas? No. That doesn't work in my mind.
I recall sitting on the terraces and speaking to the fans at a few away and home games, and it was generally that they were quite upset about that. So we didn't want to do it without the fans' approval, because we had the fans' approval before, but as time went on, that changed.
And I was on the radio the following morning with the chairman, with Mr. Summers, and boom, it stopped, and that was it. And from there on in, the club is taking steps and stances that show that the ethos of the fans has been recognised by those that are in power, and that Yes, there is always a role for commercialism, but it must not always be the sole driving reason. Actually, the values of the fans and the people that attend on the Saturdays and the Tuesday nights in the rain and the cold, or go to other towns to do it, that's what drives the football club.
Where's your whistle gun? Where's your whistle gun? Where's your whistle gun? John Saunders wins! Wake up, stand up, said we are stand up.
So that's it. We've done what we had to do. We've done what we set out to do. We've stayed in this league.
And we are staying up.
Performance in the clubhouse. Come and watch this, H. This will be clubhouse. Come on.
Professional, right, let's be quiet then, here we go. Yeah, odds and evens on the microphone, on the ones and twos. Yeah, it's not all about the winning, is it? No. We're staying up, you know that. Okay, it's time to get funky, people. I want you to like move your ass and raise your glasses, because we're the working classes from WBN2.
It's not particularly about, you know, the quality of the investment or the return on the investment. I think it's about what you're investing in. And I think this is a social investment, and it's been a lot of money. We've put a lot of money into this football club over the years. But I still think it's money well spent. In the long run, I think it will pay dividends for the town, for the city.
Oh, I love it, and I can't tell you more. Come and see it. Come down. Come and visit us. You know, wherever you are, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Palestine. Just jump on a plane and come and see us, because you'll be more than welcome, and you'll enjoy it.
Conversations like this about what your ultimate goal is reminds me of what used to be said at work, when people used to say to me, you lack ambition if you don't want to be the best. If you don't want to be the best at absolutely everything, you lack ambition. You have to also be realistic about where we are and what we are. So I don't think it's sensible talking about Whitehawk in the Premier League or in the Champions League. I think it's sensible talking about phase one, Whitehawk establishing themselves as a top non-league football club in National League South. I then think it's sensible to have another conversation about whether we want to go to the next level as a professional football club. And at that point, you may decide you don't. Or you may decide the resource base isn't appropriate.
Who keeps the club on track? Funky. Who's fully dedicated? Funky volunteers.
That club will always be there. It's had a modicum of success, and once you've tasted a little bit of success and the way that your ethos is, it will carry on rolling that way. And I think it will be a roller coaster, but the path will always be upwards for Whitehawk, and they will, like a hawk, like a Whitehawk, eventually soar and set a good example to all other clubs. I believe that, but then I'm an idiot.
You know? There's life and then there's football, but they're very close. As close as we are to relegation, that's how close it is. Yeah? There's 2 points in it. I've been close to relegation in life, very close. I think I've been relegated, but I came back up. I went down a couple of divisions many years ago, but then I got a new management. I met my wife, and yeah, and I rose up. I used to love to party, but then when I got to 40, and I had a child, the party had to stop. So I stopped partying, and from that time, I saw a new way of living and a new life, a new sober way of living and clean life. And but those experiences I had of the party years kind of stood me in good stead, really. And I don't regret them. It got a bit dark, the relegation years, but then you look forward to the promotion, you know, and every year is, yeah, I'm just glad to be alive. That's why I was running around, and you know, I spent a lot of time being miserable and unhappy. That when you find something and you find happiness, you just got to embrace it. You know what I mean? In some ways, this football club tells my own life story. You know, just down there, down there, down there, down there, then rise up, have the adventures, then go down, and now we're going to hopefully rise up again. This is in some ways the story of my life and probably a lot of people's lives here.
It's not about the thrill of getting ready for the game. It's not about the people who seem to know my name. It's not about the smiles and laughter all around. It's not about the drinks you can take around the ground. It's not about the chant that starts inside the stand. It's not about the players who come to shake your hand. It's not about the theatre that we witness every week. It's not about the football world.